If you prepare a speech or a lecture, ideally you want your audience truly engaged and learning. So try using questions to guide your flow and turn the room into an active learning space. In this video, I'll show you the knowledge quiz method by Vera F. Beaconbeal. This method helps you to shape your talk with clear, focused questions, get people thinking and responding in the moment, turn listeners into active participants, and boost retention so your ideas will stick. By the end, you'll know how to wave smart questions through your talk so it's memorable and interactive. So let's dive in and make your next talk stand out.
Let's start with some questions. What is a knowledge quiz? What does open your mind? In what way do we normally think? What is the best way to teach in a brain-adapted way? You will have the answers to the questions during our presentation. The knowledge quiz is the one tool which you use when you want to impart knowledge, teach in a brain-friendly way. Firstly, because teaching and learning represent the two-sided of medal, who learns has to teach himself first, or as the ancient Romans say, through teaching we learn. Secondly, because each form of communication which informs you, always, means that you educate. The knowledge quiz is for people who are constantly educating themselves, for teachers who are looking for a way to communicate their learning matter, for participants of a seminar or lecture to show how fast you can get an introduction in a subject in a playful, enjoyable way. The knowledge quiz game was developed by Vera F. Beaconbeal. It is an exciting learning tool that is suitable for every area of knowledge and builds on the popularity of quiz games. The knowledge quiz game by Vera F. Beaconbeal aims to impart knowledge and therefore ensures deep processing through interesting questions, the answers to which lead to further questions, so that the subject is dealt with intensively. The knowledge quiz is one of the knowledge tools which is very variable in practice. It is variable in design and implementation. It brings you fun and enthusiasm by creating it. It gives you a deeper insight in the subject you're working on. You and your audience need to tap in your own knowledge net and experience. With the knowledge quiz tool, you have the possibility to educate your fellow men without any difficulty and rise their fascination with the subject. In the first round of the game, the lecturer-teacher asks the questions and each participant answers them individually on a piece of paper. They also make a brief note of how confident they are about their answer. In the second round, the questioner answers the questions themselves. However, as the answers are not simply yes or no, but are detailed with some background, perhaps with a graphic or a picture, packed into a story, in other words, brain-friendly, the listeners remember what they hear, especially as they have opened their minds by asking the question and trying to answer it. They are now curious to hear what others have to say. The more intriguing the question, the more open we become to the information. In the final third round, the speaker asks the questions again, and everyone is pleased to realise that they can answer almost all the questions. Deep processing with feedback. Why does this work? The first round, where questions are asked that everyone answers individually, arouses curiosity. Everyone now wants to know whether they have answered correctly. Accordingly, they are attentive when the answers are explained. These now fall on prepared ground, so to speak. This is further emphasised by the request to estimate how sure you are of your answer. This question also serves as a self-assessment. How to create a knowledge quiz. First, trigger facts that you consider are most essential, that helps to work out the being of the question or problem. Secondly, formulate the questions. Formulating as such is an essential aspect of this game, so be sure to prepare more questions than you actually need that you can choose the best ones to ask. Thirdly, select some of the questions for testing and playing with friends, colleagues, or students. At a presentation for clients, you may want to get in with 1 to 3 questions to arouse interest in a brain-friendly way. In a real learning game, such as exam preparation, it may be 10 to 30 questions. Fourth, the actual game process. First round, the quizmaster asks the questions, the participants write down their answers. Second round, the quizmaster asks the questions again and answers the questions in detail. Third round, the quizmaster asks the questions for the third time. The participants now know all the answers. As the knowledge quiz game primarily serves to impart knowledge, all questions relate to one topic and the essential key terms. The individual questions illuminate the core statement from different perspectives. This rounds off the picture. When we answer or guess, we think normal, meaning we always think associative. We are allowed to tap into our own knowledge. This means that in the sense of a mini inventory, we find out where we are at the moment with regard to this subject. This is all done in a playful way. The questions open the mind and the answers given by the facilitator are compared with the participants' own answers. This also gives us immediate feedback. If the speaker also manages to ask interesting questions and present the answers in a brain-friendly and fascinating way, nothing can go wrong. Every question enables independent thinking because even if we don't like it, we have only been asked to answer. Contrast, if we don't like a statement, we have to officially contradict it. Statements also prevent free, flexible, associative thinking. If I say to you, "The elephant has 4 legs," what else can you think? As a result, you immediately forget my statement. But if I ask, "How many legs does the elephant have?" then your thoughts start to move, because there is an automatism. When a question is asked, you have to answer. In other words, your brain instinctively searches for an answer when you hear or read a question. This is why every question triggers a thought reflex. We cannot prevent this any more than we can prevent the blink reflex or other neurophysiological mechanisms, except that the thinking reflex is a cognitive reflex. Use the play instinct. This certainly doesn't need to be explained. Switch on the overall memory. With fascination or burning interest, everything we perceive, including what surrounds us, automatically becomes part of the memory. It is as if our consciousness, when we find something fascinating, flicks a switch to switch on a kind of all-round memory so that everything that happens is stored as a precaution. This is also logical, as we cannot know at this point what exactly is to be perceived and learnt. That is why the organism first stores everything. Our brain does this automatically without any further intervention. The fact that many people initially doubt this mechanism because they never experienced it when learning at school only shows how little brain-friendly teaching was practiced by teachers and trainers in the past. Even though we only play a knowledge quiz game, we cannot prevent learning. What more do you want? It may take a while to learn the art of creating interesting questions. The quality of each activity, from playing piano to playing tennis, to the creating of fascinating questions, always depends on the training. Anyone who has not had a chance to invent fascinating questions in the past will have to practice a little bit.
We wish you a lot of fun in trying out creating fascinating and interesting questions for the Knowledge Game quiz. And if you like this video, please do not forget to like and subscribe, as there is a lot more to come.